Michael, thanks for your time and welcome to Grandstand.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What are you hoping to gain from the conference?
Well, the idea here is really to learn and exchange ideas about sporting excellence and really around developing athletes, identifying talent, and then how do you help those athletes to reach their full potential. And that's what this is really about. And so that can take on many different layers of support, services, training programs, understanding athletes and what it takes for each individual athlete. And for us as people who are supporting these athletes, how do we get the best out of them?
I guess it gives you a chance to look at what other sports are doing as well.
Yeah, I think that's really the idea, is to look at not only other sports but other organizations. So my organization, Michael Johnson Performance, we're a U.S.-based company, but we operate with different clients around the world and across all different sports in terms of athletic development. And we learn just as much from our customers as we give to them. So it's always a process of sharing information and learning and being innovative in this space.
How hard is it to transfer what other sports are doing into the sports that you're involved in?
It's, there are more similarities, honestly, than there are differences, and especially in the space that we operate in, athletic development. So when you're talking, not necessarily skill, but athleticism, developing speed and strength and power and agility and stamina, there are much more similarities amongst the different sports than there are differences. So there's a tremendous opportunity working with other sports to pick up on things that may be helpful for someone in another sport. We find even with our athletes, not only with coaches, but we find with our athletes, they really enjoy training alongside athletes from completely different sports than their own.
What can you get out of a sport such as rugby league or AFL and transfer it into the sport that you're involved in, such as track and field or even American football? I mean,
with American football and Australian rules football or rugby, we all know that there are quite a few similarities. But then when you take something like track and field, what can you learn from a sport such as rugby or a sport like the NFL? There's a tremendous amount of focus on power generation in those sports, and it's important for athletics as well, especially for sprint athletes and the throws athletes. So, those are some of the basic things, but it goes a lot deeper than that. When you're talking about training programs to develop athleticism in athletes, it goes a lot deeper than just some of the basic things. So it's really understanding, someone in another sport may be developing some type of program or training methodology that's completely innovative, and then it may be a case where someone from another sport doesn't adopt that in whole, because in that way it may not apply so much to their sport, but may be adopting certain parts of that.
Now, there have been media reports suggesting that Usain Bolt is considering the 100, 200, 400 triple in Rio. You did the double in 1996, the 200 and 400. Is the triple possible for Usain Bolt in Rio?
I've heard exactly the opposite. I've never heard him say that. Anytime I've asked him about running the 400 meters, he said there's no way he's going to do it. I think we talk about it a lot in the media, but he's actually made his statement, and he's said it time and time again, regardless of how much we continue to say, he should do it. He said he's not going to do it, and he's going to run the 100 meters and 200 meters. So, I think if he, first of all, the schedule wouldn't even allow for a 100, 200, and 400 meter triple. It's just too many races over too short of a period of time. It's not possible, from a scheduling standpoint. If he were going to run the 400 meters, he would have to choose to let one of the other races go.
So physically and scheduling-wise, it's impossible?
Not physically impossible. It's possible physically, but it's not possible with the schedule when you have 100 meters and 200 meters at the opposite ends of the Olympic schedule, and then you have the 400 meters going on simultaneously while the 100 meters is going on. Is impossible. You would find yourself running a early round of the 100 meters and then having to leave that and go run the 400 meters and come back later in the day, maybe running another 100 meter, round, and that's not possible.
Is he the greatest athlete that you've seen?
He's certainly one of the best. I think it's always fun to debate, and it's always a matter of opinion who the greatest athlete of all time is. But I think that there's no doubt about it. He's the best track and field athlete in the sport, and certainly the best sprinter right now. And I would say that he's one of the best, one of the greatest of all time.
And you're busy these days with the Michael Johnson Performance Centre which is based in Texas, and that seems to take up much of your time these days.
Oh, it's that takes a lot of time. When I started Michael Johnson Performance after my retirement, we're based in Texas, yes, but we have facilities around the world and operations around the world, and so it's a tremendous amount of work. But it is my challenge now. It's my goals are all wrapped up in that now, and so I spend a lot of my time continuing to try to build the business.
Michael, thanks very much for joining us on Grandstand today.
All right, thank you.